Welcome to another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. Now back to the official Monday Night Football we've been having here at the Mexican Soccer Shows. Having shows on Thursdays, on Wednesdays, on Tuesdays, but we're back, and I think there's actual American football with Monday Night Football happening. Watch out.
What?
Alright, let's get the party started.
Yeah, let's not talk about American football because my Chargers did a Cruz Azul this weekend, so let's not even go there.
We'll just go ahead and talk about America football. Okay, Johnny?
That sounds good.
Alright. Amigos y amigas, welcome to another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. I'm Whistle from Food Mex Nation. This is an hour-long podcast dedicated to all things Mexican football, Mexican soccer, whatever you like to call it. Not American football, because we're not talking about that, even though the season's already started and I kicked butt on my fantasy. We need to get Tom into a fantasy team with NFL. That's what we need to do. Great show scheduled for today. Lots and lots of topics. Kind of hard sometimes narrowing it down for just an hour. I feel we can keep this show going on for at least 2 hours, in my opinion. But we'll have a lot of fun today talking about... we'll start things off with El Tri. Some news came out that Juan Carlos Osorio put in his resignation. Panic button? What?
Yeah.
Johnny very happy. I had to give him the news. We'll talk about that little topic that came out of with Tom. I think it came out of ESPN, so Tom should know all about this. Then we'll be talking about Gio dos Santos, probably going to be the best Mexican player in MLS. What? Lots of people wanting him, and El Tri in his form, having an amazing season. He's saying he's playing the best football of his life. We'll talk about that and coming into what's happening to two qualifiers in November. Be ready for that. Liga MX, should we even talk about it? Should we mention Cruz Azul? Do we want to jinx the show of what's happening with Cruz Azul and an ongoing failure and battle? I reached over to my friend Jason Markowitz and said, hey, buddy, love to have you on the show, of course. He said no. He's hiding. It's serious stuff with Cruz Azul fans. People burning their flags, Cruz Azuleada, lots and lots of stuff. And we'll obviously talk about the leaders almost halfway through the season. Tijuana. People are already saying Almeida's Chivas are title contenders. Obviously, America, the French team that we have here in Mexico, not here, there in Mexico. So lots and lots of topics. Thank you for joining us on this edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. Already saying hello to our friends on the chat, Giovanna Sanchez, who's always got a shout out on Twitter and always on the show. Thank you, Giovanna, for joining us. Un saludo de todos. But Eddie Rocha, also JP Santoyo, little shout out to Mr. Eddie Rocha too, fellow wannabe journalist who's studying too. So good luck to him. But let's say hi to our experts. There are here Mr. Johnny and Tom. We'll say hi to Mr. Tom. We haven't seen in a long time. We were talking about it on Thursday. You were ready to come on, and you said, no, I got more important things to do. No, just kidding. Tom, how's it going, sir? Well,
Not bad. No, I've been running around, Weasel. Been running around with the Mexico
I've been running around.
in El Salvador, Mexico City, and then...
How's El Salvador, brother? I know we could go into...
yeah, I mean... it's a bit like going to Chiapas or something like that, like southern Mexico. Like, you know what I mean?
I don't know how to take that. Is it humid? Is that it? Is it?
No, it's just
the Green Party?
Not too different. It's not too different from Mexico. But obviously, it's. I tell you what it is. It's hostile.
Yeah.
Especially for Mexico, Mexican players, journalists, and everything. It's a hostile place to go. It's not easy to go down there. And I put a few videos up about the coach coming in and stuff like that. And you can tell those El Salvador fans really, really, really don't like losing to Mexico. Put it that way.
Yeah, definitely. No, and I'll go with that and ask a couple questions about El Salvador as soon as we get into the topics. Hey, hello, my dear friend, Mr. Johnny Rico in San Diego, Tijuana area. Johnny, we got to talk to you 4 days ago. Great show regarding El Tri and Juan Carlos Osorio being fired and should he not? So how's it going, brother?
I'm doing good. Got a little too excited about the news of Juan Carlos Osorio resigning, but you know, I
We do our pre-show.
I live on the emotional roller coaster.
Oh man,
Which
that's
was
Johnny for you. That should be the quote of the year. Johnny losing the
the
emotional.
South America game was not a good game for someone who lives on an emotional roller coaster.
How many times did you say the team's curse? I wasn't listening to. I mean, I don't know if you were on Twitter during that game, but I'm pretty sure it was, flip flop from the first half to the second half. How many times did you say fire Ambris? And still, you're still in that, right? Fire Nacho Bruce.
I used fire Ambris. I used some other F words with Ambris's name.
Okay. God. All right. Failed. Fuera. Failed.
Fuera. That should be Johnny's bloody nickname. Johnny Fuera Rico.
Yeah.
He calls for Ambris, he said. He calls for Osorio. 2 bad games and Fuera.
Nice. That's Johnny. What is our show? We're going to have a lot of fun today. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Lots of topic. Let's start with, before we kind of go into El Tri, just a little bit more about that, about your El Salvador. I have not been able to go to El Salvador. Going into that hostile environment, a lot of people especially think, El Salvador doesn't have a team, or it's, on the rankings, it's pretty high up there in the name, but there is something about traveling into those type of Central American countries, and what I mean by those is a hostile environment where maybe the instalaciones aren't as greatest. You're not going into the greatest hotels. You're not going to the greatest field. The conditions of the actual stadium, it affects the psyche of the player, especially with the people around there. It was a shame to not see an Estadio Cuscatlán being full like we've normally seen that. For example, I go back to the Aguirre game, the qualifiers before 2010, where they were going in there, especially during the swine flu, and it's not just football there. And when it's 11-11, it takes a little while for players to adjust. We could say that it's kind of like that for some of the players that are coming into the Azteca for the very first time. I don't know if it's the same effect anymore, but Tom, you being there, you being in the crowd, which looked like you were in the crowd when I'm looking at your pictures, as press. But just talk a little about that. I think a lot of viewers would love to know.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, so it's a difficult place to go. I mean, to go and I think all the things that you mentioned, the pitch isn't very good in terms of it's slow, it cuts up, it's difficult. Obviously, the fans are absolutely crazy for the team. I mean, people talking to people down there as well. The expectation, the kind of excitement around the national team in El Salvador is actually a lot lower because of the corruption that we've seen, because, there's no real kind of players that they identify with right now. So, but even so, with all those things, it was still an intense place to go, and it's not easy. It's just not an easy place, and I think apart from the things you mentioned, so the other thing is that, the opposition just raised the game. They raised the game by 20, 30, 40% because of the atmosphere, because they play Mexico, and because there's just so much that they're so desperate to get a result against El Tri. Yeah,
and I think that's why the qualifiers are different. That's why it's not a lot of people could go in and win in the type of environments. Not that the U.S. is having an amazing run, but they are also lost against Guatemala and Guatemala. We've seen losing in Honduras. That's why Mexico hasn't won in a very long time in Honduras, except for what Osorio just did. So, great that you're there tweeting, especially live. It was great to see all your pictures with that weird El Salvador Cuscatleco type of guy. I mean, these guys really go out, right? El chaman or what a brujeria that he was spewing there. It takes an effect. Fun times. Let's talk about El Tri. I opened up the show with Osorio might have handed in his resignation. weird story that kind of came out. The good thing is, nobody's really talking about it, which is good. But at the same time, I think our friends at ESPN, and if you listen to a lot of the radio shows, kind of come out there of Juan Carlos Osorio, handing in his resignation, and the FMF saying no, we're not taking it. Tom, what do you know a little bit about the story? What do you know about it? I kind of did a little research on where it kind of came out of, but what do you know, sir?
No, I mean, it seems a bit weird, the story, to be honest. I mean, I think people have denied it now, but yeah, I mean, obviously he's under intense pressure, and the rumor spread earlier today that has he resigned, as he put his his letter on the table and said, like he's done before. I mean, after the 7-0 loss, I think it was widely reported that he had resigned. He had said, right, he'd offered his resignation, sorry. And I believe that, even though he's then gone and denied it after, I think he would have done that and said, look, if I'm not the person to take this national team forward, then get rid of me now. I mean, what are we hanging around for now? And obviously now, moving forward, you've had the game against El Salvador, which the first half was bad for Mexico. It wasn't good. And then the game against Honduras, where the first half was equally not very good at all. So I don't know. I think more than anything, more than the actual details about has it happened, I don't think it has happened. I think what it shows is, once again, just the pressure and the pressure and the Mexican national team manager is working under. I mean, knives are out, knives are being sharpened, and people are ready for an upset and to get rid of him. I think, I ran a poll on my Twitter the other day, and most people want to get rid of him. Most Mexico fans want him out already, less than a year in.
Yeah, and it's golear, gustar, ganar, the 3 Gs. The story came from Esteban Jaramillo, which is reported in Colombia, who his show is I think it's like Telepolemica. I mean, that's the show. Name of the show there in Bogota. And it came out that, close sources of Osorio in Colombia now, which supposedly he's traveling into Colombia, and he's there, and he's going to spend some time before the November game. I mean, the October games coming up here in the United States. Came out that he handed in his resignation, a verbal. It wasn't like an actual letter. FMF said no. Even Bielsa was brought up again on how it is. So that, I mean, when I heard that Bielsa was brought up again, that's just kind of go, okay, discounting it. But from Ricardo Mayorga, ESPN Deportes, did come out and say that there are always conversations of Osorio, and Osorio is the type of person that would have those conversations straight out with, from, even if you remember talking to our friends here in the United States that had some contact with Osorio, he has handed his resignations before. He hasn't actually been fired from teams. He's quit teams, saying, I have no more to offer. It happened in Colombia. It happened here at the MLS. So it's not surprising if those conversations were there, and I think that's where it's coming out that the FMF is saying, just wait. Te respaldamos, which is a word that's been used a lot, saying that we're fully committed to keep this obviously this proceso going. So that's the news. Hopefully it just kind of dies there, and it goes back to some of the people and the public just want Mexico playing better during this time. Johnny is one of them. Johnny is.
I think also that it's these games coming up. It's going to be really fascinating. All right, leaving aside the November qualifiers, which are going to be amazing. You know what I mean? It's these 2 games coming up now. You've got New Zealand in Nashville, which I think people are just wondering what is going on with this game. And then moving on to Chicago, where they're playing Panama, who they're playing also in November. So it's almost like what's coming up in October for the national team is now like just an example of like how it's run and how difficult it is for Mexico to advance when you're playing games in against those teams in places like that. It's a difficult one.
Well, maybe. I mean, it comes out in good note that Mexico needs a little more practice right now, and against a team like New Zealand, it's a great confidence booster if there is. We were making all this fun of a team that like Iceland, that the United States, that Mexico played, and look what Iceland did at the Euros. I know maybe not the same team, but it's good competition. These are professional players. It's still something that these guys can have. It's not going to be just a walkthrough. Look what happened. It's happened before.
What happens if the body bag punches back? What if New Zealand pulls 0-0 draw.
There you go.
Yeah.
Can we fire him?
Yeah,
Then?
and I think the wider question now, and from rumours that you hear is, in the press and stuff, is, well, there's two things. Number one, are the Europe-based players going to want to come? Are they going to be there
Well,
for
it's
those
FIFA.
games?
It's a FIFA date, so.
It's a FIFA date, but we've seen it before. They've not turned up. I mean, how keen are they going to be? I doubt they're going to be that keen. And I think partly linked to that is how much are they behind Juan Carlos Osorio?
Yeah.
I mean, after the game against Honduras, we spoke to Andres Guardado, and he gave an absolute 100% backing. But the other big players didn't stop to talk to the media. So it's like, I don't know.
And that's where I think
it's a weird little.
That's where I think where we should really look at is how the players now. One indication of players not happy with the coach's decisions on the field is a level of play, and I have seen un Herrera being lazy, not at his best. Layun not at his best. Obviously, we've seen Reyes. Guardado, I think, is one of the best. Moreno also there, and I think we're going to start seeing if he has lost the locker room, like people are saying in our chat today, that's when we will start seeing if the players are not into it, and we can see the difference when the motivation's not there. If we see, just a performance where the players are just not motivated anymore, then I think that's where we lost the... Go ahead, Johnny.
The players didn't want to play for a win, but the Ambris soldiers that he brought in this stepped it up. But same thing with Mexico. I'm a believer that locker room is lost. That Juan Carlos Osorio is definitely not a player favorite, and I'll be the first one to admit that Mexican players are like little kids, chiquiados. Mexican players are very spoiled, and if they don't have it their way, they're gonna throw a fit. And I think right now the players are not having it their way with Osorio in charge, and they're not liking it.
Well, there's not really any indication about that. That could very well happen. I'm not going to deny that might happen. It happened during the Chepo era with a lot of players. I mean, even if you remember Rafa Marquez.
Even before Osorio came in, I think there were doubts, and I think that gradually he was getting on better with them, and they were buying into his idea.
Because they're winning.
And then the 7-0 comes in. All of a sudden, it's like, what's going on now? But I think the wider problem, we've chatted about here on the show, is that Osorio and Mexican football, maybe this can lead into Giovanni Dos Santos, but Mexican football in general as a player pool, it just simply, we don't have enough players right now who can challenge Guardado, who can challenge Herrera, Layun, players that you guys had just mentioned then that haven't been doing it in the last couple of games.
Yeah.
There's nobody to challenge them. The automatic spot.
You don't. So the players, they don't have anyone, behind them barking, trying to take their spot in the starting lineup. And just look at everything the players have been through. They felt attacked by the media during the Gold Cup. When Herrera was still in charge, they united together. The hashtag Mito como Record came out. They really bonded against the media, and then it's a media member who gets Herrera fired. How you think the players are going to react to the federation?
Well, the coach punched the media member. It wasn't like, oh, we're getting him fired. It was, come on, we were still talking about Piojo hitting somebody, and he should have been fired. As much as I was a big Piojo believer, I wanted him to keep going, but he should have been fired about that.
But right now I'm painting the picture of what the players have been through. They were
poor players.
Active campaign against the media during a tournament, and a media member gets their beloved coach fired because.
Johnny, it's
of course the media going to have problems coming in.
I think. I think they're professional enough to go through that. The 7-0 hurt. I think that's something to say. Maybe it's not, the waters aren't as clear right now, but I believe that we'll see it on the field now. It wasn't something we mentioned with Cesar last week. It wasn't the greatest, and Jason brought it up. It wasn't the greatest 2 games to really look at and analyze a team where there was a lot of patadas and it was just rough play in El Salvador. people getting injured left and right. I haven't seen so many players so injured with the national team, and then going into the Azteca already qualified, where players are already starting their season. European players are starting the season already, not going 100%. So I think it's going to be a different team coming in, and we're going to see. We're going to see if they have las ganas para ganar, if they really want to show the public and indicate themselves from what happened and prove themselves to the public that Mexico is back and it's a team. I think hopefully that pride will come out and we're able to see those two. But going into the lead point of what's happening with Mr. Giovanni Dos Santos is our next topic. Tom mentioned it. Gio supposedly, according to reports, is having the best time, is playing the best football that he can play in LA Galaxy, with 14 goals, getting closer and closer to being the best Mexican player in MLS history for a Mexican going in there, Mexican abroad, beating Omar Bravo, beating looking for Cubo Torres to get on on how many goals scored in one season, which is I think 19, close to Cubo scoring 19 goals. But more of the story, instead of Gio, everyone doing well, with great goals that have been scored. I think 5 goals in the last 3 games for Giovanni Dos Santos and LA Galaxy sparks another controversy, not controversy, maybe more discussion of how competitive MLS really is. And Gio, who has played in Barcelona, who has played in Europe, should be able to make these numbers. I think he's leading he's in the top 5 in goals scored in MLS with David Villa there. Joven, I think, is in there too. So the conversation is Gio returning to the national team? Is Gio killing it in MLS, which I don't think he's at those numbers yet, but doing rather well and doing his job and scoring? Does it get a call-up because of what happened over the summer where Gio wasn't in shape? We have to remember that Gio also, when the season was barely starting, he wasn't called because there was no activity of coming. I think there was an injury there too, and news coming out in Mexico saying Ricardo Osorio saying that he wasn't in shape and he wasn't ready to go according to him. Now Gio's saying he's ready for the national team, and then there's that Gio drama. What's happening? I go up to you guys. We know your stance, Johnny. You talked about it last week. Gio Dos Santos should be in the national team. You fault Osorio for not being on there, even though there's really no confirmed sources saying that it's Osorio who's not there. But let's talk to you. This is his 14th goal. He's on a great run. Why not? Why not have one of the best Mexican players in MLS right now on the team?
Well, I think that, undoubtedly he would improve the team right now. I don't think that's in doubt. Giovanni Dos Santos is a very good player. He's in form. There is no argument that says he couldn't do a better job than Martin Barragan, for example.
Yeah.
It's just, you can't argue that. But what I would argue is that Osorio has got a plan about how he wants to run this national team. He doesn't like what Gio has shown in terms of attitude before. He doesn't think that he doesn't have a position, basically, a number 10 position in his starting lineup. So therefore, he believes that Giovanni Dos Santos is basically going for a position with someone like Gullit Peña.
This sounds really familiar from 2006.
Explain yourself, Johnny.
Yeah, no,
in 2006, a certain number 10, Cuauhtémoc Blanco, was left out of the Ricardo Lavolpe squad for the World Cup.
Nah, we know the reason why he was left out.
It was all just manager personal problems.
We know the reason why Cuauhtémoc Blanco was left out 2010. They didn't like each other, and I agree. I agree with Lavolpe. You don't like a player. The player doesn't like you. He's disrespectful to you. He's not gonna. Why even have him there when he's laughing at you? He shouldn't have been in the locker room. Too bad, because I think we could have done amazing in 2006 for it.
The best players need to represent the national team.
Not when you're not going to listen to the coach. Not when you're not going to listen to the coach. When there's problems already there, you don't want that broken. I believe me. I would love Cuauhtémoc to be there. But when Ricardo Volpe and they both have problems, You don't want that.
Argentina fires their coaches over problems with their best players.
Maybe that's what we should have done. We should have fired La Volpe, even though he had a great qualifying and a great Confederations Cup and played a different style and whatever. But I get it. I get your point. I would love to have Cuauhtemoc Blanco, but he's the coach, and he took Chiquis Garcia. He took his nephew.
But La Volpe is now named as the most successful. You know, he was so close to knocking out Argentina, and it's like everybody now. You speak to everyone around the national team, and everyone's like, "Oh, you know, La Volpe, he had 4 years to create something." And I think Osorio deserves the chance to also create something. I mean, what we're going to do is just get rid of him again. You know, another coach. I mean, who do we want? Who do we want in?
Osorio's deserved opportunity was left on the 7-0 pitch.
That wasn't Osorio, Johnny. That was all the players. That was everybody. How many times?
I mean, go back
to
Gio. I'm cutting it out. Go back to Gio.
All right. I mean, we know about Giovanni Dos Santos. Good player. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You're going to win a World Cup with Giovanni Dos Santos. You know what I mean? Is he going to win you a World Cup? Is he going to get you to a final? Is he that good? I'd argue that no, and then I'd therefore argue that Osorio, what he's trying to create is a team that can reach a semi-final, get to a final, and that is actually a team where the final product of what the team can produce is better than the individual parts. And I think that obviously he doesn't like Giovanni and how Giovanni Dos Santos can work within, not just on the field but off the field as well. Obviously he thinks his attitude's not very good. I think part of that is the fact that he's gone to MLS. He's basically taken the easy option. He's taken, you know, the good life in Los Angeles. He's taken the good money. He's in the prime of his career. I'm not saying him personally that should be a reason for him not to be in the national team. But I think as an example, Osorio would absolutely hate the fact that Giovanni's gone from a very competitive league to one that is, you know, a decent league. And I think as an example for Mexican football, it's extremely negative. So, Johnny, I agree. In the short term, could Giovanni improve this national team? Absolutely. But also, you can make the argument that if you want to build something moving forward, then you've got to allow the coach to kind of make his own decisions based on his understanding of the game. And Osorio is an absolute student of the game. He's not he's not making these decisions just because he wakes up on the wrong side of bed one day. He's got a plan. It's just like can he?
The way he rotates the squad and the lineup, it does signify that he does make his decisions on a whim, on, you know, which side of the bed he woke up on. You know, does Ochoa Talavera play this game? Well, let's see. Did I wake up on the right or left side?
Well, Johnny has actually a good point.
Yeah, but let me explain that goalkeeping decision, though. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think it is complicated, the fact that, you know, your goalkeeper and the relationship with the central defenders especially, you know, I think you build that up over time. I think that's a common belief in football. But then again, you know, Osorio, there is a reason. And the reason is that Honduras are much better in the air. You know, they're much more physical and liable to throw long balls in than El Salvador, with the type of players that they have. So therefore, Osorio's like, right, which goalkeeper has the tools for us to do the best as we possibly can in this game?
But he's the only one doing that, Tom. What other coach does that?
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. He's dreaming that example.
Yeah, but and I go back what Johnny said. Actually, a good point. I mean, if you're a coach, don't you take a look at the player pool that you have, and you want to make the best team with the talent that you have. If Giovanni, you know, is great talent and does well, work with what you have, you know, and work to make Mexico better by putting everyone. I mean, if your argument and I agree to the point, you know, it doesn't fit in Gio's scheme, but find a way to make it into Gio's scheme. Maybe you're stuck. I mean, everybody criticized. You know, Piojo for the 5-3-2 coming in. I mean, no one plays that way, and we saw it. You know, and it was a big deal instead of the 4-4-2. And he was taking everything that was best about the team and making and winning with that team.
When you talk about Piojo, you know, now look at what he's done. You know, Piojo has matured and been flexible with his formation. He now plays a 4-3-3 that has Tijuana at the top of the league.
Yeah.
So if Osorio needs to be flexible and somehow fit Giovanni Dos Santos to make this national team better, then I expect the national team manager to swallow his ego.
I don't think it. Like I said, I don't think it's that. I really think that Gio really. I'll give you this. In order for, I think a month ago, yeah, Gio's scoring, but it wasn't like a great scoring run that Gio had. He was mediocre coming into the MLS season, especially when you have to give out a month in advance the qualifier. So if you think about it, it's almost a month and a half before Osorio said, "All right, I want Giovanni Dos Santos in the next qualifiers," which was a week ago. When that notice was given to LA Galaxy, I think it was a little too late. I think Gio will be back. I really don't think that there's a problem there. That's where I see Osorio a little differently. I think that he's going to be back. I think he'll be back. Maybe on the bench, but he'll be back.
I don't think he will be. I think if there was a chance to bring him back, it was those qualifiers where you're calling up Barragan and Zaldivar, who have played a handful of games. But, like, this is the thing to understand with Osorio and this Giovanni Dos Santos decision. Osorio quotes Alex Ferguson in a conversation they had, and he said, Ferguson always said, what do you prefer, a player who goes out and is motivated by money or a player who's motivated by glory? And I think Osorio, what he's trying to construct with this national team is players who are absolutely 100% hungry for glory and not necessarily for the good time, for the fame, for the, being on the front covers of the magazine. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's not necessarily my opinion, but I think people are throwing things out about Osorio like he's just a crazy guy who doesn't have a clue what he's doing, and it's the opposite. Yeah. I think, all right, but this is my final point, and I think we can all agree on this. You've gone from Herrera, and Johnny was talking then about the 5-3-2, about Giovanni, the players, the system, everything that went on there, and now you've gone on to Osorio, and they're so different as managers. There is a commonality in the fact that they like possession and they like to attack, play the game in the opposition's half of the field. But in terms of everything else, it's so different that it's problematic. And now we're seeing Osorio coming under the microscope. Is he going to get fired? And it's like, it would be no surprise if in 6 months' time there's another manager with a completely new, different system. So I think you have to look at the Giovanni Dos Santos in that framework as well. I mean, there's been no consistency in terms of the management, so it's therefore difficult to be consistent and to produce a team that plays a certain way and knows what they're doing.
Does anything that Osorio does make you think he's going to be consistent?
He's consistent in his rotaciones.
Yeah, I mean, he's
consistent in his own team. And you know what? As much as I don't like him or whatever, if he would have stopped and said, "You're right, I'm not going to do rotations," I'm like, all right, so anyone can just voice out opinions, and as long as the manager and they're going to change. That's at least give Osorio his credit. He's going to stick stubborn until he runs it in, and then it's our turn. It's the FMFs to go. All right, you're fired for whatever the results didn't come in.
Same thing with Gio. Exactly the same thing.
Back to the point we saw made a little bit ago that Mexico just does not have the depth of a player pool to say, hey, Chicharito, you're not playing well, you're not liking the manager, we'll bring in the next guy. Hey, Gio, you don't like the current manager, you have problems, we'll bring in the next guy. So it's the FMF's job to bring in someone who's going to get the best out of these select few players. And Juan Carlos Osorio is not the guy to get the best out of these players.
No, I agree, but there isn't anybody. From looking for 4 or 5 months, I don't think there's anyone.
There was somebody.
With this group of players, with this group of players as they are right now.
No, there wasn't. Johnny, he got fired for hitting someone. That's it. It's over.
Get the best out of these players.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Plus Mexico were very lucky to win that Gold Cup.
Yeah, there's still a lot of rumors that come around that this was all corroborated by the FMF because of the crappiness that happened in the Gold Cup.
And U.S. soil struggling to get past Panama in front of a home crowd.
Didn't they tie Cuba? No. I think in the one it was Guatemala. Yeah, they tied Guatemala in the round, the first in the group play of the Gold Cup.
But listen, this everything with Osorio. if it is a surprise to anybody in the FMF that the rotations and stuff like this, then I don't know what they were doing. I mean, everybody knows,
everyone knows.
and everybody knew Osorio did it. He had problems in MLS because people couldn't get their head around it. So, I mean, I don't know.
We'll see where it goes. But enough of El Tri. People are asking already for us to talk about just really quick. Chicharito and also Jonathan Dos Santos returning in the Euros. Europeos get to see Chicharito play 90 minutes, and Jonathan Dos Santos come in with Villarreal. Nothing really big happening about the Europeos except for Diego Reyes not getting the start again. Maybe his coach saw what happened in Mexico, and he's like, I don't want to risk it. So nothing a lot happening in the Europeos. Good thing that the seasons already has started. So let's move on to Liga MX, where it doesn't get any prettier for Cruz Azul every weekend on what is happening in the Clasico Joven. A very, very, I love Liga MX, especially in these games, because anything can happen. I'm watching, I'm looking at it. All right, it's 3-0. Wow, it's going to be great news. And then, of course, finding a way in that sense. But, Johnny, this is your time. I mean, you keep saying Fire Ambris, but let's not mention that at all. What did you see in that game, analyzing that game, and what could have happened? A tale of two halves, of course.
Why not mention it?
Just hold on. We already know your stance. Take that Americanista shirt off, analyze the game, give us a little recap.
Well, America played a horrible game. That was very evident by the fact that they were down 3-0 at in the 30th minute. Chaco Jimenez, I tweeted about Chaco Jimenez. He gets one start per season, and that's against America. He once played for America and did absolutely nothing. Now he holds a grudge against America for letting him go. And he gets one start a season. It's against America. He just loves to try and hurt us, but he plays for Cruz Azul. So.
Granted that Chaco Jimenez and Pachuca is a real team.
So anyway, so America just complete exactly what you expect an Ambris team to look like. And then in the second half, there's America has talented players that can make a team like Cruz Azul look bad, and that's exactly what happened. Renato Ibarra came in. He dribbled down that right wing as many times as he wanted to. Put in 2 assists to Silvio Romero, and these are the guys that Ambris brought in. So those are the select few that are kind of killing themselves out there for Ambris. But I can tell a couple of the other guys they don't care if Ambris gets fired, like a Ruben Sambuesa, Osvaldo Martinez, a Pablo Cesar, especially a guy like Pablo Cesar Aguilar. He could care less if Ambris is fired.
I told you not to mention the fire, Johnny. 5 times you mentioned it. You don't follow instructions. Tom, Cruz Azul, once again, the joke, the mockery, the memes. It feels like it's a never-ending nightmare for being a Cruz Azul fan of what is happening. It's Hollywood on the story of this. It's like, what is a fan, talking to Jason on WhatsApp, and it's just unbelievable again. Are we really, now we dissecting everything Cruz Azul does, and every bad, it just gets amplified because of the history? So we look at maybe other teams and it's happened before, or there's a similar, or is Cruz Azul really cursed on what's going on, Tom?
Well, everyone bigs it up, but you can't be 3-0 down and lose 4-3.
Tom, are there teams in England like that, like a Cruz Azul? I mean, you've been a world traveler. Are there other in football like that have this curse, this Cruz Azuleada, that type?
Arsenal.
Like I think Manchester City had it.
Oh yeah.
Manchester City had a degree of that, but I don't know. I mean, Cruz Azul do it on different levels. Like they'll do it in the final of a championship, but then they'll also do it in the regular season. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I mean, the only thing I say is I don't think Romano is the answer. I mean, in the press today, there's talk about Tomas Boy going and Romano coming in. It's like, I mean, that is just, I don't know what the thought process is if you're in Cruz Azul. But there's so many rumors about the influence of agents and promoters in the club. But at the end of the day, the thing about Cruz Azul right now is if you player for player, they're a good team.
They're always a good team player for player, Tom.
Players.
They've been a good team player for player.
Yeah, but anyway, this is my solution. Not well. I don't know if it's a solution, but I think they've got to try something different at some point. They've gone in terms of the coaching, they've gone Mesa, Memo Vasquez, Tena, Bueno, and then now Tomas Boy. So
Todos mexicanos.
Yeah, and
todos mexicanos.
Yeah, I mean, give them credit for that, but I think now's the time to kind of roll the dice, bring some exciting young coach in from abroad or something, and just try and bring someone in who not kind of is not been kind of tainted by
the Cruz Azul.
By Cruz Azul, but they don't even know about Cruz Azul or something. You know what I mean? So they're not kind of affected by this because I mean it's a mental thing. Against America, that was a mental thing. I mean, even I'm watching the game. It's 3-1, and all of a sudden it's like, this is on. I mean, and you shouldn't have that thought, even as someone who's just watching. Imagine the players and the management and the fans. Everybody knew it was on when it got to 3-1.
After that first goal,
scary.
After that first goal, it's like you got that they're gonna do it again. Everyone was sure that there was another goal coming. 3-2 came, and you're like, it's over. They haven't even lost the game.
It's over, yeah.
America still had 2 more goals to hit to score, but at 3-2. You knew it was over for Cruz Azul. It's this mentality of the fans. I mean, it's like Cruz Azul needs to hire the best PR firm in the world to find a way to spin this, bad juju away. Of that people keep saying it, and it's. I mean, I had people that don't even watch football that called me up, and that bad juju quote came from my mom, who said, "What is up with this? I've been hearing on the news and stuff." I'm like, I don't even know where that came from, but
yeah.
Johnny, Cruz Azul, what needs to happen? And I'm sure you're fine with this, but at the same time, you're the coach. What are you gonna do? You're the federal. You're the federativos, Johnny.
Well, that's a problem in itself that the certain federativos that right now have control of Cruz Azul need to not have control of Cruz Azul. That's where the problem is. They're the ones hiring the managers that they're hiring. These Romano has been part of this Cruz Azul's problem already. It's just kind of like
they're going back. They're just turning the wheel on problems.
Can you imagine?
Memo Vasquez.
Can you imagine like a corporate business who like continually failed?
I think the best thing.
I'm talking about a multinational.
Yeah.
Silicon Valley.
The best thing that can happen to
and then they go back and hire somebody who's already been the manager.
If the owners were to sell this team to Angelica Fuentes, she would do everything in her power to mess with Jorge Vergara. She'd turn the team into a championship team.
El clásico del divorcio.
Yeah.
The clásico.
The best thing that could happen to us being sold to Angelica.
The access clásico.
El clásico de los ex.
El clásico del divorciados. El clásico de los amantes. Gosh. Well, there it is. I mean, it's tough to see with such a history for a team like Cruz Azul. I mean, and its fans and some die-hard fans. I can't really think of another team that has.
Here's a title in 35 years.
John, I think you cut out right there.
Yeah.
But
quick point.
A bit of their history. 1 league title in almost 40 years.
It happens in some sports. I think that if I could take it back to the NFL, maybe the Buffalo Bills. I don't know.
They're not a team.
I'm saying. All right, Tom. What were you gonna say?
No, just a quick stat about America. I know they won, but before the game, it's all doom and gloom and about.
Still is.
I miss out and all that, and Johnny Rico's at the front of the protest march. But I was looking at the stats the other day, and there's a stat expected goals. If you put everything into a computer in terms of possession, shots on target, goal scoring chances, stuff like that, you come up with an expected goals for the games America played, and America actually had the highest expected goals of any teams. So what does it tell you? I think it tells you that it's been in the finishing department that things haven't been working for America, and that, I don't know, it's not as all as much doom and gloom people think. I think America are going to be in the playoffs, and it would be no surprise if they're still fighting for the title.
But as far as expectations, America has the highest expectations of all 18 teams. So
Johnny didn't get that stat.
No, but
that's what I'm saying, that America are expected to score the most goals. That's, they're expected to score the most goals.
No, Johnny, pay attention, bro. Pay attention to what Tom just said. Johnny just heard expectation. He blew everything out. No, it's true. I mean,
for example, America have the most shots on goal of any team.
There you go.
But see that.
But they're expected to.
That does nothing when they're not scoring those goals. If those goals aren't,
it's just a stat.
What I'm saying is, like, stats work when you've got a big sample. You've only got 8 games. What I'm saying is, if you play those 8 games again and exactly the same things happen, and the finish is slightly better than America, first or second in the league.
Those stats, and if we play them again, they're not gonna reverse the 3-0 loss to Chivas.
Oh, it hurts. That's where it comes down. That's where it comes down to Johnny's hostility, guys. That isn't anything else. That's just how it is.
No computer can ever factor in the importance level of one match over the other.
Importance level. Let's talk about importance of the level of America at 5th position Liga MX standings, with Guadalajara right above, even though they have the same points. 5, Club America, Guadalajara 4, Pumas 3, Tigres, the French team in Mexico, and number 1, Piojos Club Tijuana, which raises the question of, do we have a title contender already? We've seen that in the middle of the season, a team or two has pulled away from the pack. Club Tijuana with 17 points, Tigres 16, Pumas, Guadalajara, Club America 14, Pachuca 13, Monarcas 12, Monterrey 10, 10, 10, and that's Toluca, Necaxa, Atlas all have 10 points. At the bottom, Chiapas, who just recently fired Mr. Cardoso, and Sergio Bueno is what we're hearing it's coming in. But back to the question, Tom.
When only lasted 1 game at Chivas.
Sergio Bueno being mentioned on there. Tom, you know what, I'll ask. We're talking about American Cruz Azul, but to round off this, do we have a contender already or someone that can win? I'll ask you, you're in Guadalajara. Is Chivas now have to? Like, do they have, great, Almeida's doing great things already in the last 8 games with Chivas. Looking like they're finally scoring. La Cantera, they were working, even though they have 60 million in contrataciones and all of that with Pulido coming in. Now with Pulido, coming in. Do they now have to win to kind of prove to the fans? And could they win are the questions that I have for you, Mr. Tom Marshall.
Yeah, they can win. It's the playoffs, and Chivas are playing well. Do they have to win? I don't think this season, no. I think while Almeida's there, or in the next 2 years, or however long he's there, I think they do have to win. Why? Because they're a massive club, because they're 1 title behind America, but also because there's been a lot of investment now in this playing staff.
Yeah.
I think he's a great coach, and you look at someone like Chapo Sanchez, who was absolutely on the scrap heap, about a year ago, and the way he's come back represents, Almeida's work. But at the end of the day, there's been a lot of money pumped in. They've got Gullit Peña, they've got Gallito Vasquez, Alan Pulido. They bought players that are already established and already, major names.
Conejito.
So yeah, for that reason, I think they're gonna want to return on that investment at some point. But I don't think this season. I still think there's better teams than Chivas in the Liga MX. For me, I was in Morelia on Saturday night, and I thought Tigres were highly impressive. They were very, very good.
Andy Delort is going to be as good, on par with the French connection.
Yeah, we'll see we'll see how it goes with Delors. I think but yeah, I mean, I think he was good in League One last season, so I think he's going to be good in the League MX. But not just him, just look at the quality they got up front and the competition for places. And they've not lost out in the first 8 games. They've only conceded three goals at their back. It's pretty impressive. The Tigres are a very, very good team. I mean, not just in the Mexican context, but I think they could compete pretty comfortably in even really good European leagues, like the Spanish league or something.
Oh, I wish we could see him in international play. Johnny, Johnny, talk about Tijuana up top again. Piojo's team, everyone praising Tijuana being number 1. I mean, you would put them as winning the title right now. Sign it, stamp it, and sign.
Definitely not, but winning the title, no. But I will put them in the title contenders. And this is a team that started this season fighting relegation. That was their number 1 concern. But they're doing one of those things that title contending teams does, and that's win their games at home and hold on and pick up points on the road. They're absolutely perfect right now at the Estadio Caliente. They went into Monterrey this weekend and they fought hard and walked away with a 0-0 draw. And we're gonna see what they're made of again this next weekend on the road to Pachuca. Not an easy game. So yeah, I was talking to Cesar a couple weeks ago at the stadium when they beat Pumas. Like, these next 2 games on the road to Monterrey, on the road to Pachuca, this is where Xolos is going to show us if they're up for the challenge of fighting for another league title. And I think they might be. They might be entering that conversation.
All right. Well, there you go. I mean, Club Tijuana, it's remarkable what's happening with that club. And you remember at the beginning of the season, Piojo put everybody on the transfer list. And I guess it's worked.
That's enough. Like how much Piojo has evolved as a manager. I never thought I'd see...
selling Piojo, bro. It's not gonna happen.
Did you ever think you see the day when Piojo did not play a 5-3-2? He's playing a 4-3-3 every week right now with Xolos. He's shown the flexibility to adjust his tactics to the material that he has there on the team, and he's got some good material. The defensive midfielder, 22-year-old Guido Rodriguez, he came in and benched one of Piojo's favorites, Juan Carlos Medina. Right now, the only issue, in my personal opinion, is the fact that Piojo keeps in Milton Cargallo, the big hold-up striker. I'd like to see him on the bench for a little bit, because I'd like to see Dairo Moreno and Avilés Hurtado combined together, without this big tree trunk of a player who doesn't really move, kind of getting in their way. But other than that, the results are there. You can't argue. I think, right now Piojo is showing he's the best manager in the league so far right now.
We're going to hear you talk about the Green Party soon, because I feel you're trying to get Piojo into the... Televisa.
I considered Jill Stein in the Green Party for a bit, but I went with Gary Johnson of the Libertarian Party.
I'm talking about. I'd say the same thing. Same thing about Xolos as Chivas. Let's not forget they've put a lot of money in the preseason. So Herrera's done a great job. I'm not going to deny it, but let's not forget that. If you put a lot of money, you buy a lot of players who are proven in Argentina, then you're pretty much going to get a decent team.
True.
That's what it's all about. That's what America's all about. That's what soccer's all about. You build a better team than everyone else, and then you win.
You buy a better team.
You're better than everyone else. That's life.
I'm gonna just throw out a contender. That's life. You build a better team around you. You build a better group of friends around you. You build a better family around you. That's life.
And you prove you're better than everyone else.
You hope you're better than everybody else.
You go out and you prove.
Life lessons. You should definitely write a book, Johnny. Life lessons with Johnny Rico. Number 1. You build a better environment.
I'm glad you brought that out. I am writing a book going to be published First week of December. Look for it.
All right, we will be looking for that right now. I'll throw it out there, guys. I'm going to give you guys a little scenario. Leon squeezes into the 8th spot. And Leon, with a new coach that, I'll say it, had some interactions with Bielsa in Argentina and Olympique de Marseille. Torrente, which will look like, coming in at a perfect, great start. De Panzazo in the 8th place. And then, you know what happens in the Liguilla? All you have to do is you just win those games right there, guys. Watch out. No. But it's good to see a great start.
No, but it was a good start. It was a very good start.
Yeah.
And I think that with Torrente, I'll be very encouraged by the fact that Leon's first 2 goals were both created by the high pressing game.
Yep.
I know the second one was a corner, but the corner came from that. And I mean, that's directly Bielsa's all about that. And from what I read about Torrente is, it's going to be exciting to watch Leon, put it that way.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely excited. I'm definitely excited of what I wasn't. Even as much as I loved Tena before and what he's done, I was I'm like, oh man, get ready to see boring Leon, especially coming back from it. But I'm excited to see what Torrente could bring in. Johnny?
Yeah, we just it's the middle of the season. We've played 8. We got 7 to go, and we just went around talking about title contenders. And not even me, but nobody mentioned America. So that's why Ambriz needs to be fired. I know you don't want me to mention it, but Ambriz needs to be fired. We just named title contenders, and America was not among them.
All right, put it this way. I'll say this. If Tigres, Chivas, America, Pachuca, Monterrey, if any of those teams win the title, I won't be any bit surprised.
I'll be surprised if Monterrey wins the title, just so I can shut Johnny off that that coach is not going to win another title in Liga MX.
Yeah.
Mohamed. All right, guys. Great show. Already going into the hour. I want to thank everybody on the chat keeping it alive. There were some questions there we try to answer, but Eddie Rocha, a wolf in sheep's clothing, is talking. The guy with name 23, saying that I'm mad. Weasel's fan fix. If people didn't like my Leon, you'll see. Remember this. Weasel Damas is on the strong, but lots of stray goats. Say hi to stray goat Joel and everyone on it. So lots of fun. It's Liga MX. We don't know what the craziness that comes in. I mean, one thing that I see in the points, it's not like somebody's walking away with it. I mean, there's several contenders. I mean, in the first 10 points, only 6. It's by 6 points. 2 games kind of separates everybody else. I mean, they go up and down. So we'll see where it goes from there. But definitely the ones that you mentioned, Tom, for sure, are title contenders. Anybody else that we're seeing on there, who knows? I would watch Morelia win the whole thing, so it can happen. It can definitely happen. Any last notes, guys, on what to see, what's coming up? Champions?
Yeah. Champions League, big time. Raul Jimenez. Jimenez is injured, isn't he, for Benfica against Besiktas? But PSV, obviously, Moreno, Guardado, a repeat of what was it, the round of 16 last year against Atletico Madrid.
That should be fun.
Back in Champions for Bayer Leverkusen against CSKA Moscow. Who else have we got? We've got the Porto crew. Against Copenhagen, so big game for them. They have to win that one, and it'll be interesting to see, what they do there with Tecatito, with obviously Herrera looks like he's going to play, and then obviously Layun.
Yeah, hopefully get that start.
Right back. Yeah, but yeah, let's see how he goes. But yeah, it's exciting, man. I mean, the Champions League's where it's at. Watching Moreno, Guardado take on Atletico.
That's gonna be good, especially it was a team that almost eliminated Atletico last year if it wasn't for penalty kicks. Guardado's PSV team, so which should be good. The Derby, you're happy, right, Tom? Manchester, it was good. Good over the weekend. Mourinho and your boy. Time to go. It's time to go. Johnny, thank you very much. I'll let you close the show. So Johnny.
Hashtag Fuera Ambriz. Fuera Osorio.
There it is. Joining you guys. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Please watch us.
Fuera Rico.
Watch us on Monday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific. Thank you for joining us in this edition of the Mexican Soccer Show Monday Night Football. I'm Weasel signing out. Nos vemos hasta la próxima. próxima. Amigos, talk to you later.